Okay, and I'm also going to share my screen and put the final agenda up, which is a little changed since the one I sent around. Here we go. And let me see if to make sure there's nobody else ready to come in. Nope. Okay. All right. What is this? Okay, can everybody see the agenda?
Yep.
Okay, and first I would like to welcome Town of North Hempstead Supervisor, Jennifer DeSena, who
Hello.
you don't know.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for
Hello.
joining us.
Nice
We're
to meet you.
Hi,
pleased to have
hi
you-
all.
have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to join you. I'm sorry I don't always join you, but I do keep these on my calendar, and tonight I had open, so I'm happy to join you and see your good work.
Excellent, thank you. And as usual, the first item of business is the approval of the draft minutes. Now we're going back to our last meeting of June because we took the summer off. Does anybody have any changes, clarifications on the June 1st minutes?
This is Kevin from the Town of North Hempstead. I go ahead and make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes.
Okay.
second.
Who second? Ian?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. I'm going to turn this over to Kevin. As you know, Kevin has been heading our search committee to replace me. A lot has happened over the last several months. And, so I'm going to turn it over to Kevin and let him explain where we're at with this whole process.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. As Carol and Eric know, who have been on the committee, you all understand it hasn't been an easy search to replace Eric. But we have finally come down to a couple candidates, one where we believe we're going to propose or offer the position to. We're going to be doing that shortly after we check references. But we're finally coming down to it, and I'm not going to disclose the person just in case they're not necessarily interested. But the process has been long, and we've wanted several candidates, and several candidates have backed out. So at this point, we're closing in on it. I would expect a vote at the next meeting to bring this person on. A vote before the full committee.
And that'll be anticipated at our October 12th, I think is the next meeting. Yes, October 12th. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin. All right. On the, as you know, we heard through Congressman Swazi, we were awarded a $300,000 grant to do shellfish seeding on the North Shore of Nassau County and possibly including town of Huntington. And I'm just looking for my notes here. We have there's a lot that needs to be done. This is our first EPA grant, and there's a lot to it. Basically, we do not have an agreement yet, grant agreement yet. We cannot apply for one until the EPA finalizes the guidance, which they say will be sometime this fall. In terms of, it will be a $300,000 grant on a reimbursement basis. So one of the issues is cash flow, because we really can't lay out and don't have $300,000 to lay out all at once to, be reimbursed on. Fortunately, under this grant, there is no deadline for getting the application in and no deadline for completing it. As long as the completion date is in your work plan, and I'm sure there's some flexibility in terms of, situations come up. But that means that we would be able to spend this over 2, 3, maybe even 4 years or so, which would help out with the cash flow. Our match would be $75,000, which it can be in kind. So we have to explore different ways that we can meet that $75,000 match, which is it's considerable, but with so many programs going on, it may be possible to include the administration, such as the executive director's time on this. If the towns provide, boat time, boat slips, all of that can count towards it. If one of the things we've been exploring is some of the towns, like the town of Oyster Bay, town of Huntington, all have existing shellfish programs and are growing and planting shellfish. If they could be considered a match towards this, to making this project even bigger, that may be one easy way to make that match. That will have to be determined when we have conversations with EPA, once we get to the point of putting together the scope of work for them. We've been discussing, we came up with a number of questions, both for EPA and for DEC on this grant, and have gotten some answers already on this. One of the things is that, with this would be a large order of shellfish seed. And some of the hatcheries, don't have the capability of producing $300,000 worth of seed at one point. And it's also been suggested to us that we don't put all our eggs in one basket and order them from one hatchery, because what happens sometimes with hatcheries is they may get some sort of disease in the hatchery and then they've lost the season. So it makes sense to spread it around. The DEC has said that they will allow purchase of seed from hatcheries outside of New York State, as long as they are north of New York State, and they have had testing to show that there's no diseases there. So I have been in touch with every hatchery that I know of from here to Maine. Some of them have been very helpful. Some have provided some good guidance, but one of the things that we did find out, to our dismay a little bit, is that in terms of New York State DEC, they will not allow the planting of hard clam seed in any uncertified waters. In other words, like Manhasset Bay or most of Hempstead Harbor. They will also not allow oyster reefs in uncertified waters. That's one of the things that we were thinking of in terms of, say, lower Hempstead Harbor, because it's got some good areas for that, which could would help clear up the water. But what they will allow is what they call spat on shell, which is where they grow oyster seeds on shells, adhered to shells. They start out almost like a grain of pepper on a shell, and you can put those down, because those are really not conducive to harvesting for consumption. So the DEC will allow those in uncertified waters. Unfortunately, it's there. Most of the hatcheries in the Northeast, the further north you go, the harder it is to get spat on shell, because they just don't grow them up there for that. With some special arrangements, they may be able to do that. So we're working on all of that. We do need to go through competitive procurement on all of this. So we need to work out, what happens when we can't just use one hatchery. Do we go with, another one that's not quite as cheap? But all that, I think, can be worked out. We also have to go through, which we've never done before, the NEPA process, which is like the federal equivalent to seeker, which I know Kevin has gone through it. It's not a fun process. It's pretty complicated, and it's something we have to learn. And there's also obviously all the requirements of the EPA grant in terms of how you use their online system and register for it and all of that. So there's a lot that needs to be done, but it is still a good program. It's a needed program, so we're just going to have to do it. So I will keep you advised as to what happens when we get further into the fall, when we hopefully have a little bit more guidance from EPA and they're able to get the program underway. The other thing I did want to mention is that you can't just go any time of year and order shellfish seed. There's a growing season, and the hatcheries need to, line themselves up to do that. So normally it's like the end of a year or early spring when you have to put your order in, and then they grow it, and then you basically get the seed in the fall and plant it. So we may very well miss this next growing season, and have to start, and prevent and plan for the first planting maybe in the fall of 2024. So that's that program in a nutshell. And we have, I don't know, Carol, is there anything you want to add to that? Because Carol's been involved with the Coalition Safe Hempstead Harbor.
No, I think you captured everything, but Supervisor DeSena, I think, has a question.
I just
Okay.
wanted to, I feel bad because I'm sort of jumping in, but I'm sure you know that we just did some spat on shell oysters that we got from the Cornell Cooperative in Suffolk County. And I'm
Yes.
sure we did have to order them a long time ago, but we found them to be great, and we just put $1 million into Manhasset Bay.
Right. They are a great resource, and
Yeah.
I've been in touch with them, and
Yeah.
they're certainly high up on the list of who we will be conversing with at the appropriate time.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay.
Do you
Eric,
remember how much it costs for $1 million?
I know that we paid about $19,500 because it was below our $20,000 threshold for an RFP. But it was 19 something to Cornell Cooperative
For $1 million, and that was spat on shell.
for $1 million. Yep. And they were great. They came and they looked at the sites, they looked in advance. And then when we put the shells in, their diver went down to make sure that they had landed well. And, he tested the ground to make sure it wasn't too sandy. So, it was a very nice experience with them.
Well, that's good to know that they looked at the bottomlands,
Yep.
because when we go to do this program, that information will be valuable to us, where we
Yep.
can put some additional ones. Fortunately, in Hempstead Harbor, we did last year, we did a shellfish population survey, which included surveying the entire bottom. So we know where it's muddy, where it's sandy, where it's a good spots to do it, and where we have clams, where they've been successful and not. So,
Right.
and I imagine, and the same thing has been done in Oyster Bay and Cold Spring Harbor, and I would imagine in Huntington Harbor as well. It just so happens I was at a press conference today, along with Michelle from the Coalition Safe Hempstead Harbor, to promote the Environmental Bond Act that's coming up in November. And there, standing next to me behind the podium, was the supervisor of the town of Huntington. So I did, speak with him a little bit. I'm going to be getting back in touch with him. He initially did express interest in this program before he became town supervisor, but we sort of lost contact. And so it very well may be that Huntington, which has a good shellfish program with the state, and Cornell may be part of this too.
And both Oyster Bay and also for Hempstead Harbor, the Coalition to Save Hempstead Harbor have been working with Cornell of Suffolk County and their South Hold hatchery for the oyster gardening program. So we've got that going on.
So we got a good basis to get moving, but there's still a lot of moving parts.
Eric,
Yep.
I need some clarity here. We did this 10 years ago and we didn't have to do spat on shell. Spat on shell was for areas like Manhasset Bay that strictly has no certified waters. Hempstead Harbor has certified waters. There's clamming going on there. And you, me, the county, Mount Nathan, we were pitching hog clams and oysters in there. Do you know why the shift in decision making, or is that still a viable option?
Well, in the certified waters, certainly planting of hard clams and oysters is feasible. DEC would have to approve that, and since there's even a larger area of certified waters in the mouth of Hempstead Harbor, that certainly is a viable option for us.
Yeah,
And
because Eric, there's
Yeah.
no real water. There's no real water in the back of Hempstead Harbor. I mean, if you go below Bar Beach, Carol can tell you this. There's mud flats and limited space to do spat on shell.
Yeah, but you have the whole area north of Bar Beach that is potentially an area if you wanted to go that way. But I think you're absolutely right. In the certified area of the harbor, you can still do single set seed.
Yeah, and from me being the guy who was throwing them off the boat, we weren't throwing them too far off of Bar Beach.
I
Kevin,
remember
10 years ago.
going north, but anyway, this will all be, it'll all have to be very specifically defined in the work plan as we go forward, so.
But
Right,
Kevin, I
just
just
wanted
want to
to
remind you that there's a very healthy populations south of Bar Beach. In fact, of all the surveys Cashin has done, the largest concentration they've ever seen in any bay is in that area. And I can tell you down by Cedarmere, we see a lot of oyster shells in there, even though it's mud flats and shallow. They are growing in there, and we've had a problems with poaching, as you know, with people coming from elsewhere and going down and digging oysters and clams. So it's something that has to be looked at, and it is something that will help improve the water quality. Okay, I think we should move on because we've got a lot of things on the agenda. So we do have the Seacliff Mini Mart coming up on October 2nd, which is the first Sunday in October. And we do have a booth, and I just received an email yesterday that they have sold out. I think that's the first time in years. I mean, this is the first time in about, I think, 2 years that they've had the program, so I'm not surprised. So
Bless you.
we will have a booth. Originally, I was going to be away. I was able to change my my vacation plans to move it back a day, so I will be there. But if anybody would like to come and help out, you're certainly welcome. It's a good event, and it would be nice to get out and meet the public again. So, if you're interested, let me know, and I will give you the information on where to park, etc. As you also know, we did apply to the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for the next round of Long Island Sound Futures Fund grants, which we will hopefully hear in October or November. They did allow us to apply for the next 2 years of monitoring programs, which if we get that will be fantastic. We have applied for $100,000 for each year, so we get $200,000 towards our monitoring program, and it would be something we wouldn't have to go through that. Whoever the new director is won't have to go through that for a couple years, and just to have to administer the program. On the same note, the current grant that we have for the 2021 to 2022 program, we were able to close out early, months earlier than we usually do, and it's all being reviewed, and we expect to be able to get our final payment sometime in the next few weeks. On a similar note, the what we call the Marcelino grant, which is also for water monitoring, which we received in 2017, and another one in 2018, which were combined into one grant. We are on track to complete that by the end of this year. We had a total of $250,000 to spend, and it took a little bit of doing to figure out how to spend all of that and still meet the requirements that the DEC has in terms of what you can apply for and what kind of documentation you need in order to be able to get those funds. But we are right now down to about $28,000 left to spend, and we will be spending that. So it'll be nice to wrap that up by the end of the year.
And just to clarify, Eric, so everybody knows that grant went to the 3 protection committees for water monitoring needs. So it wasn't just Hempstead Harbor, it was also Oyster Bay and Manhasset Bay Protection Committees.
Correct, and it's also provided a lot of very valuable equipment, you know, and cost to us. So I mean, I think with the Hempstead Harbor Protection Committee, we're about, I think, $93,000 that they funded for us. So it's been a challenge to get through this grant, but it was definitely worth the effort. So okay. Let me just make sure. Okay, the Nassau County Culvert Connectivity Project. I know a few months ago, I did send around an email to all our municipalities advising of this. This is a program really carried out by CTUC Environmental, and what they want to do, and this is following a similar effort that another organization had done in Suffolk, was to look at all the culverts in all the water bodies in Nassau County with an eye of seeing which ones you know, are causing problems in terms of flooding, which ones are undersized, which ones could be modified to allow wildlife to travel upstream more easily, etc. We found out today that the project, the first phase of the project has been completed. They've looked at culverts. I'm not sure which of our municipalities participated with them, because nobody had let me know that they were. So maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But they haven't released any findings yet because they're still going over the draft. But they will be doing that very soon. And then they're going to. The next phase is to look at which ones can be modified, what the cost will be, and all of that. We have, here comes Dan Fucci, 1 second here. Okay, letting Dan in. The people that are working on this program are willing to come at our next meeting and give a short overview. So I assume that nobody has any objection to that, and I will invite them. It's Sarah Schaefer Brown from the Long Island Sound Study and Emily Hall from CTUC. So stay tuned for that as well. Also administratively, you know that the DEC has been working on its new MS4 stormwater permit that has been really like 10 years in the making. We did submit a number of comments earlier this year and been waiting and waiting, heard nothing. I did hear from some of the other stakeholders. We had formed a statewide sort of ad hoc group of people who administer or oversee stormwater permits, and did hear back that apparently the DEC has now taken most of the stormwater permit renewal stuff off their website. So I don't know when that's coming back on or why they did, but I would think that it's probably going to be a while before we hear what the next permit is. But at the same time, several of the upstate areas are reporting that the EPA is now getting involved and going in and looking at individual permits, asking a lot of questions. Why is this on your permit? Why is this not on your permit? That sort of thing. No, violations have been issued yet, but apparently the EPA is stepping up its activities, and I haven't heard of anything on Long Island yet. If EPA contacts you, please let me know so we can let the others on Long Island know too. But we still have to be vigilant on all that we do on our permits and make sure the paperwork is in order, which is what I know DEC always looks at, and I'm sure EPA does as well. So I guess we sit and wait on that. Also sitting and waiting is the new DEC pathogen total maximum daily load, the TMDL, which will establish new goals that we will need to meet to reduce pathogens. Haven't heard anything for months from DEC on that. I don't know if all this is because they want to get past the election before doing anything that's controversial. That's my own, suspicion without anything to back that up. But, that's a possibility. There was also recently a webinar held, which I was not able to attend, by DEC on reclassification of saline waters. So I can send something around. There's a fact sheet that I was able to bring up. I haven't really, to be honest with you, been able to go through it too much in depth, but that's something that's been started and out for public comment. And I don't know. I think Carol, you were able to attend that.
It was a little difficult actually getting onto that webinar, and there's an in-person meeting, I think at the end of the month in Long Island City. But you can there's a link, or you can send the link around, Eric, and people can get the worksheet. And also, I think they were also going to put actually the webinar up on the website. But essentially what they're looking for is they're collecting data on different water bodies and wanting to know whether people feel that certain areas should be upgraded in classification. And the classifications go according to how you use those waters, whether for primary contact as for swimming, secondary contact as for boating, and it goes on, fishing. And so they have different worksheets and different types of data that they're looking for. But from what I could gather, it's really a data gathering kind of a process at this point. And they talk about different thresholds used for enterococci bacteria. It wasn't clear on whether those are actually being changed or the thresholds are being made more stringent, and hopefully more of that will be clarified with the information that they have on the website.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Okay, so there's a lot that's going on, beyond the scenes that we're just waiting to hear exactly what's going to happen. So in terms of member dues, I'm happy to say that all have paid. And so we're good for this year, and we will start the process again in January. You will also be reminded that at our last meeting, actually probably the last couple meetings, we talked about the possibility of doing another joint harbor cleanup. This is not a beach cleanup where we're going along the beaches with citizen volunteers. This is a harbor cleanup with the municipalities participating with boats and getting some of the large debris out of the water. It was really requested by Sands Point. Unfortunately, Lewis couldn't join us tonight, but we had talked about, it didn't seem, when we met in June, it did not seem feasible to do it during the summer. The summer is a very busy period with the municipalities and their boats and all the boaters out there and everything else. So we talked a little bit about maybe trying to do something in September in conjunction with the international, cleanup effort. But that's really upon us now, and then we're getting into the bad weather. So I would say that we really need to start thinking maybe over the winter, organizing something for the spring when the boats are back in the water. So unless anybody else have any other ideas or think this is feasible to do this fall? Okay, I guess we'll keep that on the agenda, and we'll also see what else we can do.
One of the things I would say, Eric, the International Coastal Cleanup is coming up, and the coalition is doing a harbor-wide cleanup. So we'll have 4 sites around the harbor, and maybe one of the things that we could do is identify some of the larger things that the volunteers in the coastal cleanup would not be able to, be able to collect. Where we have sites at Town of North Hempstead Beach Park, Morgan Park, Seacliff Beach and Tappan Beach. So maybe we can forward that information to you. And it's something then that the municipalities can use for
That's
the
a great
large
idea.
cleanup.
You know, like if big tires on the beach or something like
Right.
that, you know, we could use the landing craft and go and pick it up and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's an excellent idea. All right, and then this has been such a crazy year. I don't know if in your own yards you see it, but weeds have grown like crazy this year, more than I've ever seen them. And Scudder's Pond is no exception. Where after we did the restoration and removed invasives back 2012, 2013. You know, and you could see the pond again, and we removed invasives, planted native plants. It's almost totally overgrown to the point where it was before, and you really can barely even see the pond anymore. We've been working on trying to see what we can do to remove those invasives. I'm happy to report that the Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District has agreed to come out and help with removing those invasives. They have some expertise on native plants and invasives, and we've set up a reconnaissance next week. I think it's on next Wednesday. Yes, next Wednesday, if anybody wants to come out, Wednesday at 11 o'clock, we're going to meet up there and see what we need to do to remove and how long it's going to take. And then hopefully the village of Seacliff will take away the debris and we can maybe see the pond again.
That's great.
So, also in terms of Scudder's Pond, as you know, when we did the restoration back then, the one thing we could not do was to replace the weir where the pond overflows into a pipe that then goes into the harbor. The current weir is basically some planks of wood that rot from time to time and now held up by sandbags. But thank you to Nassau County Legislator Delia Dirigi-Witten and Nassau County Public Works. This new weir is included in the budget for when they redo Shore Road. They're going to do some extensive redesign of Shore Road, narrowing the lanes so it's not two lanes either direction to one, and then this will be included in that project. So and that's a big project, so I don't know, it's not going to happen imminently, but I think they have like $200,000 in the budget for replacing that weir with what we wanted, a two-stage concrete weir, which will eliminate the problem of all of a sudden we wake up and the pond is drained down because the weir collapsed, or the pond is flooding because it's who knows why. But that's going to happen. When it happens, we don't know. So that brings us to water quality matters. So I think I'll turn it over to Carol to tell you where she is on her water monitoring.
And as Eric had mentioned, we were able to close out the 2020-2021 program. And that was with the release of the 2021 annual report, which you all should have received a link to the report that was released on July 20th. We're in still the middle of the 2020. We're always in the middle of three programs at one time. So we're in the middle of the 2022-23 program. We'll hear about the 23-24 program, but right now we're still doing the water testing for the 22-23 program. And we started that in May. It'll run through October 26th. And I'm sure most of you have heard that with all of the heat, and the warmer water temperatures, that we ended up having significant low DO or hypoxic levels in Hempstead Harbor and other North Shore bays. And with that, We had a bunker kill, fish kill, that was occurring in Manhasset Bay and Hempstead Harbor, all along Long Island Sound. We noticed the worst of it probably about 2 weeks ago. And fortunately, the winds kicked up. We had a lot of mixing, DO levels rose, and we haven't seen a significant number of fish, just a few. And most of them look like, old kill at this point, sloshing around. So we were fortunate it wasn't worse than what we had seen. We are also participating again in the Long Island Sound Studies Unified Water Study for Long Island Sound embayments, and that's running through essentially the same period. We're doing testing biweekly with that one, and that'll also go through October. With the state Marcelino grant, we were able to purchase in a nick of time a new sonde for water monitoring. They're extremely expensive, and it was really a gift to have that grant in place just when we needed it to replace a huge piece of equipment. It's also allowing us to share other equipment with other bays. So we're in the process of working on a revision for a qualified project plan for EPA to become EPA certified or continue to be certified, so we could go on and get federal funding. So that co-op we hope will be done by October. And then also, I think most of you know that the coalition initiated a pilot program for oyster gardening in Hempstead Harbor. It's the first time it's been done here in the harbor, and we have 3 oyster gardening sites. So we're raising spat on shell in cages, and they're thriving. That'll go on until they reach a certain size, 1.5 inches, and we're anticipating that will be in the middle of October. And I think that's about it for all of the water monitoring updates, unless anybody has any questions.
I think you said it all. All right, on the powerhouse drain bacteria issue, which is one of our largest issues right now. As you know, we did the thermal imaging drone study, and we did find at least one house that looked like it was definitely had a failing septic system leading to the stream, which then discharges into the bay. We did then found out that the homeowner had applied to Nassau County for a septic grant replacement to put in a state-of-the-art nitrogen reducing septic system. Unfortunately, I found out today that that homeowner has decided not to go ahead with the grant. So that sort of puts us back into square one of what we do with this situation, and who does it. I mean, it's a situation where it's in the town of Oyster Bay. The stream is arguably a discharge, an illicit discharge into the town of Oyster Bay, MS4 system. But it's also, they live right on a county road, and the pipe that goes into the harbor is a county pipe. So it's also the county's MS4 discharge, possibly an illicit discharge there. So I'm not sure where we go with this, how we want to handle it. So I don't know, I'm open to suggestions. This was late breaking news that they're pulled out of that program, and I don't know why. Maybe the first step is to talk to the homeowner and see why they're not going that route. So at the same time, we do have 3 other applicants from that same area, from the powerhouse drain sub-watershed, 2 of which are on Betty Lane, which is in that same area right by the stream. So that is good, and they're going ahead with that. And another one is up on the hill by the firehouse. So the county is still promoting that program, and we're hopeful to get some more applicants and more of those septic systems, replaced with a better system that can possibly help alleviate some of the problems.
Do you know how far along the other homeowners are with the ones who are going forward?
I
with the
think,
septic system?
yeah, I don't know specifically. I think one of them is in the design stage. That's something I could find out. But yeah, that's all I know at this point.
Aren't there, aside, I think contacting the homeowner to discuss the issue makes sense, on a very friendly note, but aren't there rules for what has to be done with illicit discharges? And those should be followed by the municipalities?
Under the MS4 permits, yes, there's steps that need to be taken for illicit discharges. I guess it's a question of, is it how you define illicit discharge and whose responsibility, et cetera. I know the town of Oyster Bay is aware of it. They did not feel that it was a discharge into their MS4 system. And I'm not sure, maybe Dan could address, if the county has looked at this.
We were kind of hoping, I think, that the septic program would, mitigate this issue. We were happy when we saw the one homeowner decided to go forward with the program, but now that we're backing out, kind of like you said, brings us to square one. I could possibly reach out to the Nassau County Attorney and explain the situation to them and see what their opinion is. I think there is an issue of, from my understanding, even if it's going into a county system, the upgradient municipality, if it is Oyster Bay, I mean, the county could broach them. I think that's where the issue is. Who owns the stream? I don't think anybody's really determined that. I know it's not the counties.
Yeah,
Also,
and I don't think that the town thinks it owns the stream either, but certainly where it discharges into the harbor that's a county outfall.
Right.
County pipe.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I could broach it with the county attorney. I just,
yeah,
there's an issue of, can you factually prove it's this one home? I mean, you're looking at, what is the technology? Aerial photography and heat signatures. Is that strong enough? I don't know.
it's all new ground, right?
Right. That's correct. And I was worried about that from the beginning, honestly. But here we are now, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, the
We're
best
making
thing would be for
we're
the
making-
homeowner to address it.
We're
and
making
it's-
assumptions based on something I don't think we can prove. And I think they would have an argument on that side, just playing devil's advocate, but I could somehow ask, but I don't know where it's gonna go.
I think approaching the homeowner first. Obviously, the homeowner is aware there's a problem because they were going to replace their septic system.
I also believe somehow we need to test at the very beginning of this stream, because we tested at the end. So we're assuming that it must be a septic, but there's an upgradient, I think, where daylights, we should test it to see what the levels are there. I think that might give us if the water coming out of that daylighted pipe, you know what I'm talking about, Carol? That
I
section.
do. We
I don't
did
think
some
we-
of it too.
Did we sample there?
We did some of it at Betty Lane. And we can go back, we can take another look, and just go over the samples that were taken
Mhm.
and come up with a plan on next steps and what should be resampled. And maybe, contact the homeowners
Yeah.
that we think, have problems. Some of them knew they had problems, and thankfully the ones on Betty Lane, where there were obvious septic failures, were on the list to get replacements. So that's great news.
Okay,
And that's near that area, Dan, that you're talking about, where that stream daylights.
but I think if we can get a sample, I never had eyes on it myself, but if we could sample, I don't know if you could stick the sampling pole in the pipe a little bit to
Yep,
try to get, just to see
We could-
where,
all right.
that would
That's a
be
good
my,
idea.
that would be my initial suggestion.
Okay. We can, maybe we can get together and plan a strategy and a schedule.
Okay. Let's do that, and I will make the town of Oyster Bay aware of the new development with that the 126 Glenwood Road home.
But, you know, just for the record, again, I do want to say that I am, you know, with this technology, it kind of comes down to provability. I'm not sure if we do that here. And I have, I'm just not sure. I don't know how you do that,
Yeah.
but I just want everyone to be aware that that's an issue. I mean, we know there's bacteria there. We know there's bacteria coming in a number of areas in that area. It's not just the stream, it's other areas. So it's still a mystery as to, you know, there's places up gradient that we tested that had hits
Yep.
that wouldn't be affected by the stream. So, you know, it's a large issue, and you know, I
Yeah.
don't think any of us are really sure what the ultimate reason is.
I mean, if it's possible to get in along that stream, maybe we should sample, you know, all along the stream by each house, you know, and see, okay, here's where it starts getting higher by this house, and then it gets even higher than this house, you know, that sort of thing.
But Carol, we had readings there before that were actually clean, right? Well, not clean, but much lower, I believe, weren't there?
At the outfall, you mean, Dan? Or in
Yeah,
the-
by
in the
the,
stream?
by where it goes into Glenwood Road, I guess. Yeah, in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very,
but still at the outfall, it's the same pattern. It's just because of this season's drought. We
No,
don't have
I'm
the high,
yeah, I'm sorry, Carol. I meant by where the stream discharges into, I guess, what is that, Glenwood Road?
Into
Didn't we
the-
have
where the
some-
stream
some
goes into a
reason-
pipe, yeah.
Didn't we have some readings that were actually not bad also? Or
no, the stream was always coming up high.
always? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think I would suggest, like I said, to definitely, one of the initial things is to definitely try to get where it daylights in as far as we can. You know, just to kind of compare.
All right. We
One
can
thought
do
anyway.
that. Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna hold off the 9-element plan to the end because the other things all sort of tie in with what we've been discussing. So basically, just want to let you guys know that the town of Oyster Bay is considering doing using Cash and Associates to do a feasibility study on the powerhouse drain area to basically treat what's coming out of the end pipe. They've been talking about this since I think it was June, and that the powers to be haven't decided whether to go ahead with it or not, but they did say I could mention it to you guys, and they're basically looking at different things like maybe using shellfish or wetland restoration to try to mitigate some of the pathogens that are coming out of the pipe. Looking at different options and what the cost would be, et cetera. So we just have to stay tuned and see, what happens with that. And that would be funded by the town itself. So, and then in terms of the septic grant program, Nassau County is basically the funding from the state and the county is expected to run out by the end of this year. The $2 million from the state and $2 million from the county, plus the administrative costs. run by the Soil and Water Conservation District, but the DEC has announced that they're giving another $2 million to Nassau County to continue this program. And we are working, the district is working to try to convince the county to continue its portion of the funding to match what the state is giving, so that we could continue to have property owners receive up to $20,000. The funding, that's the county's portion of the funding up until now has come from what they call ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan, which is federal funds. And the county still has quite a bit of that ARPA funding that they still need to appropriate. And that would have to be expended by the end of 2026. So we're working to try to hopefully get the county to agree to fund this program through the end of 2026 to keep this program going. So one of the things that we've been working on is getting letters from different organizations to the county pushing for this. The North Shore Land Alliance has written to a number of municipalities, asking them to also sign on to a letter, basically doing the same thing to ask the county to continue this program. It's a win-win for everybody because it's really a popular program and is doing good. So it was just probably by the next meeting we should know more about where we stand with the county's portion, but we haven't received any negative feedback yet, but you know, also haven't heard anything definitely positive. Also, through the DEC and the Long Island Nitrogen Action Plan, they have expressed an interest in providing another $100,000 to the Soil and Water Conservation District for administering the program, and that's also in the works. So this program has had, you know, pretty good success. We've had I think 29 installations so far. We've got we've got 205 applications for the 200 spots right now. We're not too worried because some people do drop out. The other thing I should mention is that the week after next is Septic Smart Week. It's actually EPA's 10th anniversary of Septic Smart Week, and the Soil and Water District is having a number of different programs going on during that week, one of which will be a meeting with what they call stakeholders, the installers and the designers, to go over some, you know, more the detailed questions on that. But there's also going to be a presentation to the public at the Locust Valley Library on that Monday, I think it's the 19th, where the installers will be there, you know, with models of their systems, and people can talk to them, and they also go over the program itself. There will also, that week, there will be a tour set up where you can go from see 3 different types of IA systems that are in the ground, and you know, you go from one to the other, and you can actually see them and talk to the homeowners. So that's all going to happen that week, the 19th to the 24th, whatever that week is, Septic Smart Week. So anybody's interested in more information, please let me know. And with that, I think I'll ask Dan to give us an update on the 9-element plan.
Yes, the 9-element plan, we are almost there. The DEC essentially has informally approved it. There just needs to be, Dr. Goldberg from Stony Brook needs to add one more, a little bit more information to the document, and then I will then take it back, hopefully later this week or next week, and then I'll be able to convert it into a PDF format and resubmit it to DEC for an official approval. But, you know, they did do another look over of the latest iteration of the plan after some other changes were made. And they essentially said at this point, it's ready to go. They asked Dr. Goldberg to make add some co-op information, which he's in the process of doing. And then when I get that Word document back, I can convert it to PDF and officially submit it again to DEC. And then we should be receiving an official formal letter from DEC approving the 9-element plan. So I'm hopeful that maybe by the next meeting, it's official.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Before we get on to the different organizations, there is one more administrative matter I did want to bring up, and I thought I had it on the agenda, but I didn't, and that is it's related to the executive director search. I've been working, trying to make a smooth transition as possible. I'm putting together like a loose leaf manual for the new person, going over everything from passwords to process procedures and suggestions and all of that. But there will be some expenses involved, and I'd like to go over those if I can find my my file here. Hold on a second here. Okay, basically, since I started this position, well, since I retired from the town of Oyster Bay, I've decided to use my own laptop because I'm involved in so many different things. I didn't want to have to lug around 6 different laptops. So I at my own expense purchased the laptop, so this new person, and it's really on its last legs, I think, anyway. The new person will definitely need a laptop. It's hard to say exactly, what the cost will be until we figure out, what the needs are. But, $1,000 is certainly more than enough to get the kind of laptop I think that we need. Obviously, a printer is the same thing. I've purchased a printer, but you guys have paid for the ink. So a similar printer to what I'm using now is $225. What I have done is on the Office, Microsoft Office, you have a 365 subscription, which basically is, you pay $12.50 a month right now is the cost, and it's automatically updated. You never have to buy more software, and you have all the latest. And I think that's a price, well worth paying. Same thing with Dropbox. I have a personal Dropbox, which I use for different organizations, but I think we need to have our own. And the current, and we need a sufficient amount of storage because we do have to record these meetings. So a 3,000 gig storage would be $16.58 a month. And also I've been on the an Instant Ink Pro subscription, so we don't have to buy ink. They automatically send you ink, and it does come out cheaper from what I can see, and that's like $12 a month. Zoom account. I'm sorry, the Dropbox is for storage. I have everything on Dropbox, the personal Dropbox now, but that we should have our own for backup. The Zoom account, the Pro plan is $149 a year. That's where we need the bandwidth in order to have our recordings. I also have a portable Wi-Fi device, which I find I need to when I work in the outside the home, because the internet that's offered at the town as the guest internet is very spotty and it's not dependable for what we need. So right now that's unlimited. It's $72 a month. And then also I would propose that when we do hire this new person, that you keep me on as needed for a time period to get the new person, under up and running, and my hours are 48 an hour. So summarizing all of that, the total of the equipment, which is be a one-time charge, is about $1,225, and then for all the subscriptions for the accounts and all of that is $1,506 a year. So obviously there might be some more expenses that I haven't, considered or may come up that I didn't think about. So, I don't know if we want to do a resolution at this point, but I just wanted to make you aware of all this and answer any questions, because I think that this is what we're going to have to do to bring this new person on.
Yeah, Eric, I was a little confused about in the beginning. You have offered the position to various people and they turned it down.
I'll let Kevin answer that.
Oh, that's, I can't see the agenda. It's still to be discussed.
We did discuss at the beginning of the agenda. We have narrowed the list down, and Kevin is doing his due diligence with references before he makes the recommendation to the full committee to proceed with hiring a new person. So we expect that to happen in October, at the October meeting.
Okay, so that I misunderstood then. You didn't offer the position, although maybe he said some people took themselves out of the running, or.
Yeah, Tom, I'll clarify it. No, we didn't offer the position to anybody yet, but in the process of things, people have eliminated themselves.
Okay, but you still have enough to, if they check out, you will expect to make an offer in October?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe the process is going to be where we're going to finish up our due diligence. We bring the search committee brings it to the executive committee, the protection committee to vote on. From that vote, we have the authority to go ahead and give the person the offer, bring them on, and start the transition.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Eric, just to go into your equipment and subscription details, I think we wait until they bring the person on to then go ahead and make a vote to see what kind of equipment and everything we need to continue, right?
That's fine. I mean, I don't think, between now and October, I would need to go out and purchase any of these. So we can wait, but, it's just I didn't want to spring everything on you once, let you think about it, see what my thinking is.
So we're under 3,000 a year, right?
Well, no, it's a one time, say $1,500 one time.
That's for a few years at least, yeah.
Yeah, so it's $1,500 a year. We're a little over 100 a month for all that we need to do to keep the person doing what I do. Okay. All right, I guess that brings us to the Soil and Water Conservation District. I sort of, a lot of what the district has been doing is, the septic program, but they have been involved in other things. Happy to report that one of the employees of the district, who is a certified arborist, has been appointed to the town of North Hempstead's tree commission. I think she's a good choice for that, and I think she'll, bring some valuable expertise to North Hempstead. I think there's not much else right now to report on the district. Friends of Cedarmere, I think I'll let Tom. Yeah.
Well, we have a promise from the millwright who we've been working with that he will be bringing the wheel and setting it up in October this year. So that's exciting.
Next month.
Yep, we pretty much got all the prep work. We had to put in concrete piers and inside the building, outside the building, rebuild all kinds of retaining walls, this ancient remnants of structures from years gone by, and it's all installed and ready.
For those that don't know, and you probably don't, Tom is now the president of Friends of Cedarmere, and I am now the vice president. We had a little change in the administration and the officers. Okay, municipal updates. Kevin, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. In the interest of time, I'll make this quick. I was a very lonely person at the Harbor Fest. Nobody from the committee actually wanted to come and say hello. But that being said, it was a good day, a good event, and we did have a lot of visitors. We were together with Hempstead Bay Protection Committee, and together we held up each other as we went through the day. It was a good event, and it was good to be live again. It was just good to see things get back to what it was, and it was a well-attended event, and we had good weather. In regards to the tidal wetland restoration design project, it's moving forward. As many of you know, procurement can be difficult for us, and we're working our way through it. And we have formed a committee to look at the RFPs, and hopefully that'll be approved, and we move forward with that shortly. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. I want to thank you for stepping up and helping out with that, with the Harbor Fest, because that was, we couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, there was nobody else.
Ian, how about what's happening in Roslyn?
What's happening in Roslyn? Grist mill's going slow, but it is progressing. And we're doing new bulkheading at one of the sites in Roslyn Creek at 45 Lump Road. And that's about it that I could think of.
Okay. Adam, what's happening in Roslyn Harbor?
Nothing happening here in Roslyn Harbor. Status quo.
Quiet community.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Tom and Seacliff?
I haven't heard anything except that they're pushing to get people hooked up to the new sewer system. That was in the local paper. So it's happening.
Good. How about Rocco and Glen Cove?
Not much, except for Crescent Beach. We finally got our permits to do that, the last two phases for Crescent Beach, which was the culvert and sand replenishment and regrading on the beach. So we're about to go out to bid for that.
So that'll be done in the fall, or?
Yes, yeah.
Good. Okay, who else do we have? We got Nassau County, Dan?
Yes, Rocco, just one thing, we need to get the county needs to approve, I guess, the bond ordinance at the legislative level for the funds that the county wanted to contribute to the city. So that's where that is. I'm not. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think we were fronting it initially, right, Dan?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. You're doing that anyway. But I was just giving an update on the county end when we do the. I guess it would be a reimbursement based on the IMA that we have, the phase 2 component. So it's just a matter of getting the bond ordinance in place, and so it's progressing. And also, Carol, yeah, we should definitely maybe this week or next week have a conversation about, I think Eric brought up a good idea too, maybe sampling multiple spots along the stream at Powerhouse. Not only where we're at daylights, which I think we have to do, but maybe Eric is right, if we can maybe 4 or 5 other locations and see if there's a sudden change or something where it can kind of pinpoint it again a little more. So I'll be willing to work with you on. I know the county does the bacteria. They'll do this, the analysis, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so if we want to have a conversation offline about setting up that
Sure.
appointment. I mean, I don't know how to go about walking behind 4 people's homes and doing the sampling. I don't know if you would be able to, I don't know if you have communication with anyone in that area that you might be able to
Yeah,
approach.
we can talk about it. I mean, there are people that we know
Yeah,
at
right, right.
either end that easier to get hold of,
Okay.
but we can figure out, we should contact those
Okay.
homeowners.
Yeah, I think maybe trying to narrow it down
Yeah.
in a number of points there would be helpful. I think it might give
Mhm.
more of a
Right.
a definitive answer, hopefully. Okay, that's all the county has.
Okay. And I just wanted to mention that I mentioned briefly before, I was at a press conference today with a number of different organizations, and so was Michelle from the coalition, promoting a press conference promoting the upcoming $4.2 billion Environmental Bond Act, which will be on the ballot on November 8th. It has a lot of money that could go to a lot of programs that will help us all. The one thing that's important to realize is that when you go and vote on November 8th, it's on the back of the ballot. Unless you know to turn the ballot over and vote on it, you'll miss it. So please help spread the word. This could help on septics and everything else, because there's money in there for a lot of different aspects that touch upon our waterways. So does anybody else have any other business?
Eric, I
just-
just wanted to bring, sorry, I just wanted to bring something up or get clarity earlier, and I know you had a heavy agenda, so I'm waiting to the end. In terms of illicit discharge, I'm not going to get involved between the county and Oyster Bay, but I just want to confirm that as the town of North Hempstead had to adopt the model ordinance for illicit discharge as per the Phase 2 stormwater requirement, Oyster Bay also had to adopt the model ordinance for illicit discharge, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because it's clearly stated what the responsibilities are of the municipality that has the septic system.
Thank you.
And
Anybody
the only
else?
other thing, just to reiterate that the Coalition to Save Hempstead Harbor will have a harbor-wide international coastal cleanup on September 17th, 9 to 12. And then also we'll be there at Mini Mart on October 2nd. So we'll see whoever's with the Protection Committee that day.
Carol, do you know which booth number you have?
No,
Okay.
did you get a booth number yet?
Yeah, we're always, I think we're 212. I think that's where we always are, right across from Village Hall. It'd be nice to be, near each other.
Yeah, I'll check it out, Eric, and then let you know.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And I guess we'll see you in a month. And this is an hour and 20 minutes. It's pretty record time for a meeting like this. Especially with a lot to talk about. So, and thank you, Supervisor DeJeanna, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
Yes, thanks, Eric.
Yes, as always, Eric. Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good
Right,
evening,
yeah.
everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Night.